This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today we cover the Sprout Film Festival and the Step Up for Autism Walk. Joining me on Share the Vision today, Kevin Anderson, Assistant Director of Employment and Community-Based Services at the Resource Center, Beth Germain, Support Options Administrator, Vicki Bardo, Development and Events Manager, and Steve Watterson, who is the Community Relations Director here at the Resource Center. Steve, thank you for setting up another great show here on Share the Vision.
I didn't do much, Dennis. It's all the people who are here in the room with me that are really the bolts and the nuts that are holding this whole thing together. I'm just the window dressing.
You always say that at the beginning of the show, Steve, but you always add so much to it. And I will tell the audience we're back in the Lucy Lane conference room here, our second show recently from this facility, so I've now dubbed it the Lucy Lane Studio for Share the Vision, somewhere between the first and second floor of the Resource Center's Dunham Avenue administrative offices. But enough of the facetiousness for the day. We have important business to get to. And you tell me we should do the Sprout Film Festival first because it, by a hair's breadth, occurs earlier than the Step Up for Autism Walk.
Yeah, it's been a busy month at the Resource Center. We've had several events, and we're wrapping things up next weekend with our Sprout Film Festival, and then the next day, our Step Up for Autism celebration. So we've got all the people who are heavily involved in the planning and organizing of both those events here to tell us all about them.
I'll have you for a moment shift that microphone to Kevin Anderson. We welcome Kevin, who is, I said at the beginning, is Assistant Director of Employment and Community-Based Services here at the Resource Center, and Beth Germain, Support Options Administrator to our program. First, Beth, good morning and welcome back to Share the Vision.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning.
It's nice to see you again, and thank you for helping to present the Sprout Film Festival again, and so to you also, Kevin Anderson. Thank you for your efforts in bringing Sprout to Jamestown one more time.
Thanks, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let us review for our listeners, those who may not have heard or may not remember what Sprout Films are all about.
Sprout Film Festival is a series of short films that deal with individuals with developmental or intellectual disabilities. This is our third year of presenting the Sprout Film Festival here in Jamestown, and we are excited to be bringing it back.
I mentioned that the two events we're talking about on Share the Vision today occur in very close proximity to each other, but I didn't say when they were. So, Kevin Anderson, when is the Sprout Film Festival?
We will be presenting the Sprout Film Festival on Friday, September 29th at 7:30. We are returning to the Reg Lene Civic Center for the third year, and they are always a great partner for us with the festival.
Beth Germain, do you bring the same Sprout films every year, or are there some different or all different?
They're all different. Every year we have a selection committee review the films in the Sprout Library, and then we pick out the ones that seem to hit us the best or the hardest.
What is the Sprout Library? Tell me a little bit about the origin of all of these films.
People submit films, directors submit films to Sprout every year, and so they have a library of films that we can purchase and view. And so they send Kevin usually a grouping of movies, and then we go through those movies and select the ones with the committee.
Remind me of the man's name who's behind Sprout, who came up with this idea originally.
Anthony DeSalvo.
Thank you.
Anthony was with us the first year, and Anthony continues to really focus on the traveling Sprout Film Festival versus the New York Sprout Film Festival. Actually, they have discontinued doing the festival in New York and have pretty much focused totally on a traveling show. So that's where they currently are putting all of their efforts.
I don't want you to give away the whole show, but if you would like to talk a little bit about some of the films that will be shown during Sprout, these are all shorts, as they're referred to in the industry?
Correct. Actually, this year we will be presenting 10 films. The majority of them are 2 to 5 minutes. We do have 2 longer films this year, Acting Normal, which is a 35-minute documentary. And then we also have a 16-minute film, which is Coaching Colburn. So those are 2 of the longer ones. Then there's another film, For the Love of Dogs, which is 25 minutes. So they're kind of mixed up a little bit as far as the length throughout. And actually we're ending with kind of a fun music video called Cairo that will, we're going to bring the lights up at the end of the show. People can kind of dance out of the theater if they want to and move on to Step Up for Autism the next morning.
Acting normal was the chatter in the room as we sat down here in the Lucy Lane Conference Center. So could we draw out a little bit more about this particular film? Because it certainly had made an impression on you, Kevin.
It did. Acting Normal is a performing arts studio for adults with developmental disabilities. It's located in Hollywood, and they run it just like any casting agency. And actually, they do workshops for people with developmental disabilities, and they work on singing and acting skills, and they go out and do casting calls. It's kind of fun to watch some of the people go through the highs and lows of being called for a casting call. And some get rejected, just like any other actor would in the field. And there's one individual who actually gets called, I can't think what the name of the show was that he got cast on, but it's really an entertaining film and just kind of puts a different light on a different day program, if you will, for people with developmental disabilities that is a little bit more real.
And since you mentioned Cairo, with a K I see on your paper there, Kairo, tell me about the music video.
It's actually out of Germany, and it is a music video by Station 17, which is a collection of
Improvisation?
Thank you. Musicians gathered from a Hamburg community. And it's just kind of a fun little music video. It's got a really great upbeat tune to it, and it just kind of grabbed me when we saw it.
Now, we've covered 2 of the 10 films. Beth, are there any other ones that we want to tease the audience about? I don't want to give it all away, as I said a little earlier in the show, but if there's 1 or 2 that you want to mention, please do.
I'm just thinking about Jonathan. A lot of the films really focus on people who are discovering their passions and working through that. And Jonathan just is a pretty unique little story about somebody who is in the Special Olympics, and it's just really fun to kind of see him go through the stages and kind of where he ends up. So they're all really good films, and I'm partial to Jimmy as well, which is the beginning film. So.
Why are you partial to Jimmy?
I think it kind of lets us see what our biases are very quickly. So you'll have to come and watch and see what I mean.
We have biases.
Yes.
I can't stop to think about that at the moment. I have a radio show to do here. Sprout Film Festival, and this is 7:30 p.m., and it is Friday the 29th at the Reg Lene Center for the Arts. Something important to say, though, about the cost of admission that I don't know that we've mentioned or emphasized, and we probably should.
Once again, we are able to offer the Sprout Film Festival for free due to a generous donation from the TRC Foundation. It's something that Beth and I felt strongly about, that this is something that we want to give to the community. And I think that when people do come out to the film festival, they will have a better understanding of people with developmental disabilities. And it's an entertaining night of free entertainment.
Something that you want to give to the community. You've taken me to the last point that I want to make for the moment here about the Sprout Film Festival, and that is what you hope the audience takes away from this, and you sort of started the answer before I asked the question, Kevin, but if there's more you want to say about what is moving about the Sprout Film Festival, whether you're part of the TRC community or just part of the community in general, I want you to amplify on that.
I think the best way to answer that question is a story that was relayed to me the other day. And there's a woman who came to the film festival last year for the first time. And she was anticipating that she was going to come away kind of depressed. And she walked away being inspired. And she actually is supposed to be on vacation and will be actually out of the immediate area on the night of the 29th, but has chosen to drive back in just to attend the film festival, because she was so inspired and touched by last year's festival. So I think that really speaks volumes for what the festival is about and what people will draw from it and walk away with.
The sense that I have from our conversation today, Kevin and Beth, and from the other times that we've talked about the Sprout Film Festival, is that we are a little too simplistic in our understanding or our appreciation, evaluation of people sometimes. And we figure they're either abled or disabled, and that is much too black and white, and these films sort of bring color to that description. Pardon my kind of bad analogy.
Exactly, and I think it helps us see people as people, and I think that's the focus of the festival. Is people are people. They have the same. Everybody has the same needs and passions and things to live a fulfilling life.
I think just to add to that, too, that this year's selection really focuses on people who embrace their disabilities versus kind of being embarrassed by them or not embracing their lives. And they choose to live their life on their own terms. And I think a number of the films really kind of touch on that.
And celebrating who they are.
Yep.
Kevin Anderson, I'm going to have you shift that microphone back over to Steve Watterson as I speak here for a moment. We are in the Lucy Lane conference room. I dubbed it the Lucy Lane studio a little earlier. I discovered in the spirit of Lucy that if I wove two twist ties together that I had used to hold the microphone cables together here, that I could actually imitate a handlebar mustache and a small beard, just kind of in the spirit of...
I'm speechless.
What was that, Steve?
I'm speechless.
That's because I had your mic turned down, but now you're back up again. I guess it wasn't that funny, folks, but I was trying. The Step Up for Autism Walk is the second part of the doubleheader here that happens on the weekend of the 29th and the 30th. And this is a separate event but related in some ways, and maybe we can tie the two together in a little while. But let us, between Vicki Bardo and Steve Watterson, lay the basis for this year's Step Up for Autism event. 8th annual, I see.
Yes, 8th annual Step Up for Autism takes place at the Resource Center's administrative offices at 200 Dunham Avenue in Celeron. And we have loads of fun events that will be taking place that day, along with the obligatory community awareness walk that we'll be doing. But I'm going to shift it over to Vicki to tell us all about that.
We're going to Vicki Bardo now to talk about the Step Up for Autism walk. She is Development and Events Manager at TRC and related corporations. Vicki, what important information should we share with our audience about Step Up for Autism?
Well, we're so excited. This is our 8th annual, and who knew it was going to be continued on year after year and be the huge success that it is. This is one of our highlights of the year because we have something for everybody. As you can see by our schedule, there really is something for everybody, including face painting, and we have bounce houses, we have sensory games, we'll have an obstacle course, face painting, food, music, and of course our ever so popular sweets auction. And this year we're happy to say that we have 3 celebrity auctioneers, and they're going to be duking it out to see who's going to take the top prize and the bragging rights for selling the cake to the highest bidder.
May a curious person inquire as to who the celebrity auctioneers might be?
Well, we have the return of our one-time advocate, Paul Hoffler. He's going to be returning, and he is a hoot and a half, and he'll be pulling out all kinds of trinkets and all kinds of secrets out of his pockets and trying to get people to bid high on the sweets. We also have Mark Gashgarian, who always brings his secret weapon, his children. And then we have our very own Steve Watterson, and who could say no to Steve Watterson when he says, "Open up your wallet, people. We're ready to roll and make some money."
Well, that is just a great trio of auctioneers. And how many sweets and pies and cakes? I mean, let's fill this in a little bit in trying to attract some people to the event that wraps up the Step Up for Autism series of events on Saturday, September 30th here at TRC. How much do you auction off?
Well, we have a great leader in the cake and sweet auction area, and her name is Tess Kersner, who you know. She's been soliciting sweets and cakes and pies and all kinds of goodies. We probably have 30 different items that will be auctioned off. And last year, Dennis, I will say that we raised almost $2,000 just on the sweet and cake auction alone. I believe, and I don't want to overspeak, but I believe the cake that got the most bids was $600.
Wow.
It was crazy. People were throwing money at each of the people going back and forth, and they ended up cutting it in half. So, and it was small to begin with, so the bottom line was, you went home for a half a cake for $300. I thought it was kind of interesting. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's meant to be fun. It's for charity. It's for a good cause. And people, in fact, the fellow that won the other half of the cake couldn't even eat cake. So, I mean, it just goes to tell you people they're enthused and they're happy to be there, and they're just all about making money.
You bring a couple of questions to mind here. Raising money for what cause? Who benefits from what funds can be raised through the Step Up for Autism Walk and other events?
Well, we have some program areas that address the folks with autism. And right now, I still believe the focus is with the children and the social skills. So that's where a lion's share of the money goes. And Steve can hop in here at any time. But we do get a lot of participation from the community. And some of the folks that obtain services get a team together. They get their grandparents involved, aunts, uncles, cousins. I mean, it's crazy. Everyone descends upon 200 Dunham, and they just really embrace and open their pockets, and we have a great time.
Why Step Up for Autism? What is it about autism in terms of awareness raising, or just the general discussion about this particular thing that happens to people sometimes? I'm not sure exactly the right way to phrase that, but why put a point of emphasis on autism?
Yeah, I think when we started this, Dennis, back in 2010, if my math is right, autism was really becoming more well-known. I don't want to use the word popular, but it was certainly a condition that was getting a lot of publicity in media, nationally, internationally, and locally. And the incidence of autism certainly is going up. I forget what the statistics are now, Kevin. Is it 1 in 86, 1 in 68? I don't know what it is right now.
I think it depends upon what you're looking at.
Yeah, but so more people being identified as being on the spectrum. And so this event was an opportunity to, raising some money is nice, but it's also, I think, important to show support, the community support for folks who are on the autism spectrum. So we'll get a lot of, as Vicki said, we're going to get a lot of families who are there who have either a child or an adult member who has autism. We get some folks from the schools who come out because there are obviously a lot of children who are on the spectrum in our local school systems. And, we're hoping for wonderful weather. People will be there wearing their fabulous 2017 Step Up for Autism T-shirts, and we will stroll down Dunham Avenue to Lucille Ball Memorial Park and whip around the park and then come back to our facility for all the activities that Vicki mentioned. And it go on rain or shine, but we'd like it better if it's shine and no rain.
Now, we're recording this broadcast to drop the veil for a moment sometime before the actual air date, and the air date is a week away from the Step Up for Autism Walk, but the early promises look pretty good for the weather right through the end of the month. So I hope it is a day similar to the one that we have as we are recording this. Autism is one of the is a condition, I guess that's the right word, condition that would be treated here at the Resource Center?
Well, the Resource Center supports people with any type of a developmental disability or a behavioral health disability, for that matter. So, yes, we have some services that are supports that are directed specifically to children and young adults who are on the autism spectrum. We have our Success program, and don't ask, Success is an acronym for something, but I don't know what that something is. But as Vicki said, it helps to reinforce and teach social skills to people on the autism spectrum so that they may better interact with their families, their school peers and teachers, and the community around them, because the more you fit in, the better you fit in.
In addition to the sweets auction, you would like to raise a little money by having people sign up for the walk as well?
Absolutely. It's $20, and that will get you your fabulous T-shirt. Did I mention the fabulous T-shirt?
Mm-hmm. I hear it's fabulous.
It is. Fabulous. We'll get you a hot dog lunch. And, there's also people out there for whom $20 is a significant expense, and they maybe want to come out and support the event, and but don't have that money. So we take donations of any kind, or if people just want to come and walk and not get the fabulous T-shirt, that's fine too. But we really just want to have people come out and show their support.
You do have a website, and it is stepupforautism.com if people want to follow along with us as we talk about this today. I have two other questions, at least. One is sensory activities. What are the sensory activities, and why are they included in an event like this?
What are we doing that day, Vic?
Well, it's Marcia Restivo and her team of OTs are going to be bringing activities that are kind of rather low-key. They're not loud. They're not busy. They're just very tactile friendly. And anyone can play those. And it kind of gives you a feel for what else, or how through someone else's eyes, so to speak, those activities will take you through that. If you're an adult that participates, you can kind of see that this is maybe a different way of looking at something or whatever. It's hard to explain, but I guarantee that the people who do them really enjoy them. The other part of our day is information sharing. We will have tables with information regarding services and anything to do with autism, and that will be, everything will be inside. Hopefully we're going to be outside for many activities, but we do set up the information and the food inside. And we also have our famous Chinese auction.
A lot of items, donated items.
So far. We'll
Now,
see.
the other question I was going to ask, and that is how, put it this way, is there a maximum age for the face painting, considering I'm kind of in a facetious mood today anyway?
No.
You can come down and get your face painted,
We could
Dennis.
use a roller. We could use a brush. I mean, it doesn't matter. We do it all.
Roller, brush?
My cousin actually volunteered to come and do it with a roller. Just
Right.
joking.
I would ask you what color would look good on me, but I don't want to go any further.
Oh, we have every color.
Into this. Oh, so I could have a real rainbow.
Yeah.
Step Up for Autism, to be serious about it at the moment, is 1 week from today here at the Resource Center, 200 Dunham Avenue, at the administrative offices, just outside Celeron. And this is only indirectly related to the Sprout Film Festival, but really the two make a very nice pair of events to bring a kind of 2-day focus to the Resource Center. And Steve is shifting that microphone back to Kevin Anderson, I think anticipating that he wants to comment or wanting him to comment on that particular subject, even though he doesn't want to. But people can go to the Friday night Reg Lene Center for the Arts, 7:30 on the 29th, and then come here for Step Up for Autism the next day. Are there any specific aspects of either one of these events that we have not mentioned that we ought to get on the air here?
I just had a general comment about the Sprout Film Festival. I've been there. This will be my 3rd year attending, and it's so moving. And you see, the first year was like crowded. Well, last year it was mobbed. Well, this year you better get there early because I have a feeling that word is catching on, and it's such a wonderful feeling when you leave. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry. I brought several friends last year who just were totally blown away and really didn't know anything about what the Resource Center did. I mean, now these are friends that didn't know what I do, so it was wonderful. They just really, really had a whole different appreciation for how positive everything can be through the eyes of these wonderful, talented actors, actresses, and directors in some points.
And these movies are brought up to professional production standards. I mean, this is not like watching home videos or some incidental thing on YouTube. These really have a professional. Vicky's laughing at me. Steve is smiling. Kevin is laughing now. They have a kind of a professional sheen to them.
Absolutely. Sprout goes through a very, I don't know if I want to say exhausting process of looking at the films and deciding whether they're up to the standards that they've established for the festival. So it's again, yes, not something that I'm going to go out and make on my own home video and bring and show. These are juried selections, and I think stepping back a little bit, you talked about the two events teaming up really well together, and I think that they do really work well together. They go hand in hand. A lot of the films will have people that have autism, so some of them, it kind of just relates, and I think it's been a good pairing over the last 3 years.
Well, it's also an excellent way for people in the community to come and be focused on what happens here over a couple of days, because we hope through efforts like Share the Vision over several decades now that we have been able to reach an audience and have more and more people understand, even if they do not receive services through the Resource Center or work here or know of somebody who works here, have a keener understanding of what this institution is all about and the services that it provides. But this really gives, linking the two events together, a real focus on drawing people in and having them come to a better understanding. You're shaking your head up and down there, Beth.
Yeah. The only thing that I was going to add, too, is that the event is free. Sprout is free, and there are some tickets rolling around, but those are really save-the-date tickets, and if you don't have a ticket, you'd be more than welcome to come.
Thank you both very much. Sprout Film Festival, Friday night, 7:30. Step Up for Autism, Saturday, the following day. Registration here at the Resource Center on Dunham Avenue at 8:30. Anything more we need to say on Step Up before I turn that microphone back over to Mr. Watterson?
Yeah, we're just encouraging everyone to come in and sign up. We also have a website that you can raise money if you choose to do that. It's getting right down to crunch time now, but we've had many families who started a fundraising page and are really quite successful. And we had last year maybe 2 or 3 families really kind of battling back and forth to see who was going to raise the most money. And so that's kind of fun to see, and it's just in a very different spirit of fun.
Does that happen through the StepUpForAutism.com website, or is it another place people should go?
There's a link through the StepUpForAutism.com. They're actually going to be going to
CrowdRise.
crowdrise.com/2017 Step Up for Autism.
But actually, if they just go to Step Up for Autism, they can direct
Get
their way
there.
all the way through it. All right, Steve Watterson, we have 2 minutes left on Share the Vision today or so, and I just wanted to know if there were other events that we should highlight in the fall here at the Resource Center, now that fall has arrived, that you want to make sure people know about.
Absolutely. We have our annual Disability Awareness Awards celebration that's coming up on Monday, October 16th, and the deadline for reservations is
October 2nd, and we're also reminding everybody to come out because our MCs for this year are the dynamic duo of Sheila and Dennis Webster.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to do that, and we are very much looking forward to doing it. I have a little trepidation about it. I don't know if my wife does, but having watched Steve do it for so many years.
Oh, he's got big shoes to fill.
Please.
Yeah, and the Mr. Smooth here at the Resource Center. It's
Mr. Smooth, that's me.
yes, it is. It's very difficult, but this is also another one of those events that highlights not only persons with disabilities, consumers here at the Resource Center, but others throughout the community, individuals, institutions, organizations who support the work that you do here, who support persons with disabilities. And there are always some tear-evoking moments in the Disability Awareness Awards each year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So October 16th at the Lakewood Rod and Gun.
And should people contact Vicki Bardo for
Absolutely.
for those reservations at that same number, 661-1477? Events beyond that, Steve, or just issues in general that we need to close with today?
Can't think of any.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And Kevin and Beth, thank you for your efforts in bringing Sprout back to our area this coming Friday night, and to Vicki and Steve and others who are putting together the Step Up for Autism event. We have had on Share the Vision today Kevin Anderson, Assistant Director of Employment and Community-Based Services, Beth Germain, Support Options Administrator, Vicki Bardo, Development and Events Manager, and the quintessential MC of all time, Steve Watterson, who's also the Community Relations Director here at the Resource Center. Thank you all for a fun and spirited Share the Vision today.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.